After being elected into another term in June 2018, President Erdogan of Turkey is getting ready to construct an ambitious new waterway on the European side of Istanbul. The canal will be the third mega project in the city after a new continent crossing bridge was completed in 2016 and the world's largest airport will be finished by the end of the year. Yet the government's vision for a new canal also carries extensive geo-economic consequences for the Black Sea domain. I'm your host Shirvan and welcome to Caspian Report. Officially known as Kanal Istanbul, Turkish leaders imagined the concept for a waterway parallel to the Bosphorus in the 16th century. Numerous Ottoman sultans tried to realize it, yet due to political, economic and technical restrictions, the plan never came into being. It wasn't until 2011 when Erdogan's cabinet revived the designs for the canal after years of studies. According to the Ministry of Transport, the Istanbul Canal will connect the Mediterranean with the Black Sea on Istanbul's European side. Moreover, the envisioned canal will be 43 kilometers long, 25 meters deep, and between 150 and 400 meters wide. This technical blueprint will allow the passage of large container vessels, but it remains too shallow for supercontainers. The construction of the Istanbul Canal will start at Lake Küçükçekmece, which is a lagoon some 30 kilometers to the west of the Bosphorus by the Sea of Marmara. From there, the canal will go north to the town of Dursunköy and connect to the Black Sea. Alongside the canal, new upscale residential and commercial areas will be constructed, and the mega project will also include at least 3 underwater tunnels and 6 or 7 bridges to be used for rail and road traffic. All in all, the Istanbul Canal is an ambitious project, to say the least. The official statement is that the massive shipping canal is meant to relieve the maritime traffic from the Bosphorus. In 2017, about 53,000 civilian and military vessels transited through the strait, making it one of the most crowded waterways in the world. Not surprisingly, naval accidents tend to occur in such congested waters. Since the 1950s, the Bosphorus Strait has experienced around 460 naval accidents. When Erdogan was the mayor of Istanbul, an unfortunate collision killed 29 people and brought the traffic in the strait to a halt. According to the Turkish government, once the Istanbul Canal is complete, it will accommodate 130 to 160 ships daily compared to around 150 on the Bosphorus. This will reduce shipping traffic passing through the latter and thereby improve the security of Turkey's largest city. However, it's not clear how the government will encourage foreign vessels to pay a fee to use the man-made canal, since the free passage is legally guaranteed through the natural waterways. In addition, the government in Ankara claims that the Istanbul Canal will cost about $10 billion and expects it to be operational by 2023. This price tag is unrealistic for a project of this magnitude. Instead, the final bill could be double the projection. But there is a secondary objective for the waterway. In 5 years' time, the government in Ankara will mark the 100th anniversary of the founding of the modern Republic of Turkey. For the government of Erdogan, it will be a symbolic year to demonstrate the revival of the country over the past century. Part of the plan is to raise the country's GDP to $2 trillion and rank Turkey among the top 10 economies in the world. To reach this goal, the government is fueling a massive construction boom, which includes airports, bridges, tunnels, high-speed railway networks, port extensions, nuclear power plants, and various urban renewal projects. To finance this massive endeavor, the government needs about $700 billion. Yet, the Turkish banking sector is too small to cover the costs on its own. Meanwhile, European banks are still in distress and are unwilling to put up cash for the projects. As such, over the past decade, the Turkish government has steadily reduced social spending to finance the infrastructure projects. Moreover, around 2 million people are employed in construction in Turkey, which accounts for nearly 20% of the country's annual economic growth. In 2009, Turkish construction firms ranked as the second most active in terms of overseas operations, just after Chinese firms. This illustrates the enormous role construction plays in the Turkish economy. Taken all together, by using massive building projects as an engine of growth, Erdogan seeks to lift Turkey to the top 10 economies in the world, and the brainchild of these projects is the Istanbul Canal. Although most policymakers in Ankara consider Erdogan's mega project as visionary, not everyone is excited with the economic undertaking. It is estimated that the initial construction phase of the Istanbul Canal will affect the livelihood of some 800,000 people. Meanwhile, some critics say that Erdogan's plan to stimulate a construction boom as an engine of economic growth is an unsustainable policy, while others claim that the envisioned projects will only enrich the ruling elites who have close links with the construction firms. Still others argued that the canal would damage Istanbul's ecosystem and archaeological sites. All these points are valid in their own right. In the long term, however, there is an even greater geo-economic consideration. Legally speaking, the Istanbul Canal endangers the mechanisms of the Montreux Convention. This agreement was formulated in the immediate aftermath of World War I, when the Allied powers occupied much of modern Turkey. The city of Istanbul and the territories along the Turkish Straits were placed under the control of an internet. The Montreux Convention, which remains in effect today, abolished the Commission and returned sovereignty over the Bosphorus and the Dardanelles to Turkey in 1936. The treaty also allowed Turkey to restrict the passage of ships during an armed conflict, while in times of peace, merchant vessels were guaranteed free passage. After World War II, the Turkish Straits remained an issue of contention. Moreover, the Soviet Union had strengthened as much as Turkey had weakened, and so the former insisted on a revision to the Straits regime. The Turks were in no shape to fight the Soviets, and the only way to maintain the truce as well as the Straits regime was to join the American alliance, which is what happened in 1952 when Turkey became a member of NATO. According to the provisions of the Montreux Convention, commercial and merchant vessels are granted the freedom of navigation in the Turkish Straits. However, the passage of military vessels in number, tonnage, and duration of stay in the Black Sea is severely restricted. For instance, Articles 8 to 22 of the Montreux Convention impose limitations on the passage of war vessels of non-Black Sea states. The provisions state that non-Black Sea warships must be lighter than 15,000 tons and that no more than 9 such vessels may pass at any one time, to which they can stay in the Black Sea for a maximum of 21 days. These restrictions are explicitly linked to the natural passages of the Bosphorus and the Dardanelles, and this legal mechanism preserved the geopolitical truce during the Cold War. However, the man-made Istanbul Canal questions the implications for the Montreux Convention, since it is not covered by the agreement. Therefore, in legal terms, the new waterway would be subject to regulations decided by the Turkish government. Obviously, this does not sit well with Russia, and the Kremlin wants to maintain the restrictions of the Montreux Convention to keep the Black Sea secure. On the other hand, however, the world's leading maritime power, the United States, is likely to do the opposite. For instance, by advocating for the freedom of navigation, as Washington often does, the US Navy could gain complete access to the Black Sea and strike at the soft underbelly of the Russian Federation. It's not hard to imagine how such a conflict of interest could trigger an arms race in the Black Sea. How exactly the Turkish government will proceed with the legal interpretation is unclear. applying the Montreux Convention to the Istanbul Canal would require amending the present agreement. Washington, however, would likely oppose such a legal revision because gaining access to the Black Sea would grant the Americans considerable leverage over the Russians. Whether the waterway will allow the passage of international warships into the Black Sea is a geopolitical option that will remain at the discretion of the Turks. And whatever is decided, this geo-economic consideration illustrates the far-reaching implications of the Istanbul Canal. I've been your host Shirvan from Caspian Report. Credit goes to our contributors on Patreon for giving us the means to research and produce original content like this. If you want to learn more or gain access to additional perks, visit our community platform on patreon.com/Caspian Report. For now, thank you for your attention and Sarol.